Have you ever seen birds flying in this V-shaped formation? And have you ever wondered why do they adopt it? Why do they fly in V-shape? Because they could fly in a Y shape or just gather themselves in a kind of a ball and move forward. But no, they use this shape, and it has some interesting reasons that we didn't know or couldn't discover until we started designing aircraft and getting deep into aerodynamics. So, in order to understand a bit better this behavior, I want to introduce you first to this guy. This is what we call a wake vortex, and this is the wake turbulence that it generates. So this is an experiment that NASA did in order to see how the air behaved after the wingtip moved through it. So these wake vortices are generated uh, right after behind every flying plane, but also bird, and in the tip of its wings. So this is another consequence of wake vortices, as you see, quite a pretty much cooler one. So now let me try to explain a bit what the wake vortex is, how does it generate, and how does it affect birds' behavior when they fly, especially long distances. So imagine that you have a bird that we see from behind, and you will have to imagine quite a lot because this is how far my drawing skills get. So you see left wing, right wing, and we're looking it from behind. So now what's happening here when the bird is flying, we won't get deep into the aerodynamics of flight, but basically what it's happening here is that we have air at high or higher pressure. High pressure. And here, air at lower pressure. Low pressure. Now, as every other gas, air, when there's a high and a low pressure region, the gas at the high pressure tries to meet the gas at the low pressure, but it cannot do so while there is the wing in the middle. And actually, that's how the bird fly, because this difference of pressures, in the end, what does is pushing the bird upwards. But that's not the part I'm interested in. Look, here in the tip of the wing, as the air doesn't find anymore any obstacle, it can try to meet the air from the high pressure zone, can try to meet the one in the low pressure zone, generating a rotation around the tip of the wing. Now let's try to add to this movement the forward movement of the bird. And to do so, I'm going to draw again the bird. Well, let's call it a bird. And this is the path that has followed. I know that the wings are flapping, but let's try to simplify a bit the problem here because it works more or less the same. And to understand it, it will be easier if we eliminate the flapping here. Now let's add to this rotation of the wing, of the air around the tip of the wing, the forward movement of the bird. What happens is that as the air is rotating and it's being left back by the bird, it's generating kind of a horizontal tornado here, where the air goes up around the tip of the wing on the outside, and it goes down again right behind the bird itself. So down and now up again, and now down again, and so on. And the strength, or let's say the intensity with which this happens, it's higher the closer to the bird. The closer to the bird, this air current is stronger, and then it tends to calm down after a while once the bird has gone. So here on the other side it happens the same, but the rotation sense it's right exactly the opposite. So one is clockwise and this one is anti-clockwise in this case. So bird goes up here on the right of the bird and it goes down right behind. So let's look at it now from above. to understand a bit more of it, but let's try to leave this here. So again another bird, but this time from above. Left wing, right wing, the tail and the head of the bird. So what we see here is that the bird is generating, because of the wake turbulence, a zone of air that it's going, an area of air or a region where the air is going downwards, and I'm indicating it with these crosses. This is what we call a downwash flow. Let's see if it fits here. Downwash flow, and I'll write it as a D from now on. On the other side, in the opposite way here, because of this rotation of the air, what we would see is the air coming up, generating what we call the upwash zone, upwash flow, and I'll call it as a U. And as you see, it happens at both sides of the wing, here and here. So here it also happens that it comes up. That's it. The way these upwash and downwash zones are spread behind the bird, it's quite particular, but let's not pay much attention to that now, because it's not what it is really important here. It is important to know that there is an upwash zone here, that it's stronger the closer to the bird, and a downwash zone behind the bird. Now let's do an experiment. Let's come with a friend of yours and hold a huge tablecloth, or pretty big tablecloth. Now let's bring this tablecloth here together with you, and you're holding it in the corners. What you would see here happening is that as the air is coming from below, let's look at it from one side and imagine that this is the tablecloth that you have put and you're holding it with your friend here. You're there, up there in the air with the birds. So what you would see is that as this airflow goes into the cloth would tend to bend upwards and generate a force. You would feel like the tablecloth is pulling you up, because this is what I call a free lift, because of the existence of this free lift. The airflow is being stopped by the tablecloth, and that what generates is this kind of free lift. And I call it free lift because first, you didn't need to do the effort of generating this upwash flow. This upwash flow was created by the movement of the first bird. And the second thing is that it's lift because it's pushing you up, it's trying to lift you up. And now let's try to do exactly the opposite. Let's come here with this tablecloth. What you would see, I'm going to try to draw it here, is that you would find the downwash zone and the tablecloth here, and you're holding it here on the sides. Yep. So what you would see is that the tablecloth actually tries to bend down, generating a force that goes down. It's trying to pull you down, and that's not interesting if your objective is trying to fly. So if you were a bird now, where would you fly? Well, as your objective is to precisely generate lift and fly, if someone tells you, hey guys, you will get a free lift zone at the right and at the left and behind of this bird, and by the way, try to be as closer to him as possible, more or less. So this is a good business for you as a bird, because then you would say, yeah, sure, I'm coming here. I want to fly here. I don't want to fly here. This is bad. I would have to use more energy to fly. This is bad. But here, this is good. This is perfect for me, because I can fly. I guess more or less you can see the bird now. I know I'm overlaying here, but you can see the bird. And now what happens with these two birds that have added to the first one? Well, they also generate, it's the same as the first one, they also generate a downwash flow right behind them, but upwash flow on their sides. And also here on the right of this second bird over here, you would also find an upwash flow. But what happens is that it mixes with the downwash that we have here. So it's not really comfortable to fly in that zone because you have a mix of air going up and down, and that's not really a good benefit of that, because you are not either in this situation nor in this one. So you would prefer actually to fly in one that it's pretty clear that there is only upwash flow, and that's what the other birds do. And here, and you can go on. Here you would find another bird. I know it's a bit confusing, it's getting a bit confusing, but basically what they are creating, you can see, because you can go on, it's that they are creating a V shape if we look at it from far away. Now, there's another interesting thing that happens here. The last interesting thing is that the leader, it's never the same guy for all the time. So they keep switching, because as the leader is the one that gets most tired, because he's the only one that doesn't get a benefit, a free lift from having someone in front, he gets more tired. So the birds keep changing, switching, so that this guy, or the extra effort that this guy has to do, is shared amongst all the birds in the pack, which is quite interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed the explanation and hope to see you soon.